This is SAB News. I'm reporting live from SAP. Top story today, Mr. Regular's Exploring Technologies class. Here is Jessica George, a grade 9 student in Mr. Regular's Exploring Technologies class. Jessica, tell us about how technology class is. Tech class started off with SketchUp. SketchUp is a 3D modeling computer program. On SketchUp, we created 3D models of different shapes. Afterwards, we created manual drafting drawings. In manual drafting, we drew the same shapes we created in SketchUp by watching tutorial videos provided by Mr. Regular, our tech teacher. In between, we did things like photography and programming microbits. We programmed the microbits to play rock, paper, scissors. After the microbit programming, we had an opportunity to go outside the school to take pictures. Next, we learned how to do AutoCAD. We used it to create the same shapes we created before on SketchUp and manual drafting. I personally think that AutoCAD was way easier than manual drafting because the application was really easy to use and more accurate. Then we used Photoshop and created an image to put on the Christmas ornament we were going to print. After the image was ready, we used a laser printer and printed the image on the piece of wood. In that same room, there are different machines as well for different purposes. Now we have started learning how to create a video on an application called WeVideo. These are all the things we have done, and I can't wait to learn more. There you have it, me and camera person Haley. Thank you.
St. Andre Bassett sports are back, however, with some restrictions. Today, we're going to interview some of our athletes and get their thoughts and opinions on the sports restrictions this year.
I'm on the junior girls basketball team, and one of the restrictions we have is no spectators. And for me, this is weird because I'm used to playing with spectators.
I agree with these COVID restrictions for sports because it keeps our athletes safe.
So it really sucks that the junior division doesn't have a season and that we only have exhibition games. Because I feel like in an exhibition game, there wouldn't be as much energy, there wouldn't be as much, people wouldn't be as excited to watch it or things like that. And also having spectators there would be great, especially someone like my parents who could cheer me on and support me during the game.
Interesting thoughts and opinions from our athletes. Good luck to all members of the SAB sports team this season.
I did not like it.
It should be taught in school.
Shakespeare should be studied in class.
Doesn't teach anything, not be studied in class.
Shakespeare should not be studied.
No, I don't think Shakespeare should be taught in schools. It's Old English.
I really like Shakespeare because I find it super deep in literature.
I think Shakespeare should be studied as it teaches kids about literary devices.
Shakespeare should be studied in class. Shakespeare gives great examples for rhetorical devices.
I did not like it, and I don't doubt that he's probably one of the best, and maybe one Shakespeare play would have been great, but I hated doing everyone 4 years in a row.
I think we should study Shakespeare. We can learn a lot about history from his historical plays.
No, I don't think Shakespeare should be learned in class. It's not going to change anyone's life.
It should be taught in school. It has a lot of sonnets. He had a lot of metaphors in his books. It's very educational.
Shakespeare should not be studied in classrooms. It's an old scripture that no one will need in the future and no one can relate to.
I think Shakespeare should not be studied. None of the stories are relevant to today, and it doesn't really teach us much about history that's more recent and stuff that could repeat.
I think learning Shakespeare can be really helpful. You have to learn about history in order to understand Shakespeare, though I really enjoyed reading about it.
The school community has teamed up with 519 Pursuit with the leadership of Mr. Romaine to raise socks for the homeless community and help them stay healthy and avoid frostbite.
Socks are one of the most requested items in homeless shelters.
Our goal is to collect as many socks as we can by November 5th.
Please donate. Go Bulldogs. In my BNN segment, I will be interviewing people on what their favorite childhood TV show is.
My favorite childhood show was The Backyard Again.
My favorite childhood show was The Octonaut.
My favorite childhood TV show is Adventure Time.
My favorite childhood TV show is Handy Mandy.
Because I feel that the adventures they went on were very entertaining.
Because it was very educational.
Because I find the adventures they go on very interesting and all the characters are hilarious.
Because it's very interesting, always adventurous, and always makes me laugh. What's going on? Welcome back to another BNN segment. Today I'll be interviewing people about their favorite sports.
My favorite sport is basketball because I feel it's entertaining, skillful, and I also play it.
My favorite sport is soccer because it's fun to watch and I like to play it.
My favorite sport is hockey because I've been playing it since I was 4 years old.
The sports that I like would be the sports that I played as a child. I played football and hockey when I went to CCH. So I'm an NFL fan, not so much a CFL. And I like the NHL. I like Major League Baseball when the Jays are in it. And so those are the sports that I like to watch.
Are you dying of thirst? Well, we're gonna ask people what their favorite drinks are.
My favorite drink is boba with the tapioca.
My favorite drink is Sprite.
My favorite drink is iced tea.
My favorite drinks are Sprite and ginger ale.
Bleach, apple juice.
Thank you for watching my BNN segment.
Hey Sam, we're gonna be asking people what their favorite shows is and why.
I like Sherlock because I like the characters and how Sherlock solves his cases. I find very interesting.
My favorite show is Bad Girls.
My favorite shows are The Office and Shameless because they're super funny and entertaining.
My favorite show is That 70s Show because it's interesting and 70s themed.
My favorite show is Dora the Explorer because they teach you Spanish.
Thank you for all the recommendations. I'm definitely gonna watch them.
Here in St. Andre Basset there have been some issues with phone usage in classrooms. Let's interview some students and get their opinion on the situation.
Phones in class are necessary.
So I think that it's really important for students to have their phone in the classroom for classwork and just so they can feel like they have something that's their own. And I think teachers and staff members taking away our phones is sometimes it has to happen, but it's also really like almost dehumanizing, kind of, you know? Yeah.
Now let's hear a teacher's opinion.
The problem with phones in general is that kids just spend way too much time on it. And I'm sad, not so much for the kids doing it, but for their parents. Because I think that some parents would cry if they knew how much time their kids spend on the phone. We've been at home for 18 months. Please try to engage not just with the teacher and the class, but with each other. You'll spend 4 years looking at a phone, and that's not the kind of high school experience that most people dream of.